Hello, my name is Lukas Oldenburg, and in this video I show the Component Manager's replacer. Like the name says it, the replacer is a feature that replaces a component by another one. And that replacement is done wherever that component is used. That is in workspaces, segment definitions, and calculated metric definitions. You can replace any component type. For example, you can replace a segment by another segment, a calculated metric by another calculated metric, an eVar, a prop, a success event, or a date range. Doesn't matter. In our first example, we will do a replacement of an eVar. So our Adobe Analytics admin has long told people that eVar 128 should no longer be used because it is broken. Instead, people should use eVar 4. So let's check if people are following his suggestion. For that, we go to the Component Usage tab, which is the gold mine for Adobe Analytics admins. Here we see which component is used where and how often. So let's filter that tab by our two eVars, eVar 128, and the one we want to be the replacement, eVar 4. So we see that we have 3 matches for eVar 128 and 0 matches for eVar 4. That means nobody's using eVar 4 yet, but we have 3 matches for eVar 128. We see that 1 match comes from a project match. And here we see the product names, so the workspace names. And we also see we have 2 segments that use eVar 128, and here we see the beautiful names of these segments. And yes, of course, this is a fake example. Let's look at the workspace which uses eVar 128, and eVar 128 is AAM audience. So here we see AAM audience is used in this table in the first panel, and then we have a second panel here, and we see that the second panel uses a segment with a great name, segment with eVar 128, and we see that this segment indeed uses AAM audience, which is eVar 128 in its definition. And there's another segment with another great name. Yes, it's all scripted. eVar 128 equals audience 3. So when we replace eVar 128 by eVar 4, we would expect that the dimension here in this table above now uses eVar 4 and not eVar 128. And those 2 segments here, or wherever they're used, have no longer have AAM audience in their definition, but eVar 4, which is campaign landing page. So let's go back to the Component Manager and copy over the component ID of the component we want to replace. Move to the Replacer tab, paste it here under Old ID, and the new one as well. So we want to replace eVar 128 by eVar 4, so we copy eVar 4 and put it here to new IDs. And let's get the rest of the columns some useful content. This is not mandatory, but it's useful for logging because everything you're doing in the Component Manager is logged to the Update Log tab. And here you can see what was done when, by whom, not only replacer logs, but also component deletions, component changes, etc. Now we simply go to AA Component Manager menu. We select Component Usage, Run Component Replacer. It now tells us, yes, this can take a while, and that's fine for us. And you see the replacer has started. So the replacer has finished, 0 issues, and we have logs in the Update Log tab. So you can see there's a Excel file we can download. So we see eVar 128 was replaced by eVar 4 in this workspace ID, in this panel with the name Freeform, which is exactly the name of the first panel, called Freeform, great name, and as well in 2 segment IDs. Here we see the 2 segment IDs where the replacement was successful. If there was a failure, then it would be reported here, and you'd get a special message in the replacement tab as well. So let's verify that in our workspace. Let's reload the workspace, and ta-ta. So eVar 4 again is campaign landing page. So we see that this report no longer uses eVar 128, but eVar 4. And let's check out the segments down here. They're still called eVar 128 because I gave them such stupid names. But we now see it's no longer using eVar 128, but eVar 4. Let's check out the other segment. It's also using eVar 4. So the replacement has worked. Perfect.